house. It is a Tribe Called Dhillon podcast. I'm Angie Dhillon.
And I'm Rose Dhillon.
And I'm Alvin Dhillon.
All right, let's get into our win of the week segment. Rose, I'm going to go to you. Win.
Oh, God. I'm not going to lie to you. I really don't have one prepared for today, Ange. Maybe the win is I got out of bed this morning. Some days, I'm not going to lie to you, it's a struggle. I've been playing some good music to get me out of bed. Mm-hmm. I got out of bed this morning. That's a win.
I have a win. You showed up today.
I showed up to tape.
There you go.
There you go. I showed up for taping and I did you guys' head in, and the win is that you still love me. So that's a win.
And you had a bit of a headache before we started recording.
That's
you
questionable.
I nipped it. I took some Excedrin.
There you go.
Did my meditation, and I said the show must go on.
Absolutely. I'll talk about my win. I started reading The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle.
Did you really start?
Yeah. No, I actually did. I was just like I said to you, I got a therapist. I spoke to a couple of colleagues about some stuff that I was struggling with, and now I'm going back to reading and doing things that would bring me enjoyment, but I just kind of lost my way through things because life gets you. And so it's the little things that I'm going back to basics that would bring me enjoyment and happiness. So stay tuned. More to come about the journey of happiness.
Good for you, Anne.
Yeah.
It's real exciting. Yeah.
Thanks. And Al, what's your win of the week?
My win, it's going to be another construction win. It's always when you hit a certain milestone. I ran exhaust. I had to run exhaust for a bathroom fan, a new one that we installed, and I happened to land on a day where it was 30 degrees outside, and in the attic it was
Celsius.
Probably about 40
That's
degrees.
Celsius, everyone.
Yeah, so it was 35 degrees Celsius outside, but I had to go and do attic work. So in the attic, it was probably about 40 degrees maybe, and it was absolutely exhaustingly draining, but I got it done. I ran the test. I came out like just dripping wet from all that sweat up there, but got it done.
Good for you. What are you learning? Are you learning anything about yourself through this process?
I'm learning there's a newfound respect for construction work and tradesmen that go in, because this is not easy work. It's very labor intensive. Little things like you say, I want to take this tile and replace it. It's a lot of work, just taking it down, doing the prep work, applying it, and making sure everything's straight, level along the way. So I got a lot of respect for my general contractor. This guy's probably 50 years old and shows up every day at 8:30 a.m., stays till about 5:30. Puts in a solid day's work, and I try to help him out wherever I can, but he's solid, and it's a new level of respect. But it also lets me know that maybe this is not what I want to be doing long term. It's a project where if I want to do a reno, I would definitely have to have a general contractor that has the same skill and the knowledge as an experienced person, so they can take it over and say, okay, this is my budget, you're staying within, and you manage everything else. Because being the project manager of this, it's kind of stressful.
Construction project management is very difficult.
You got to time all the different tradesmen to make sure the plumber does his part. General contractor gets it ready for the plumber, and he gets it ready for the electrician. And then sometimes there's some mishaps, and then they have to come back, and it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And then the problem is that when you bring him back after some of the work is finished, then you have to cover all the flooring, cover the counter, get everything covered so they don't damage it. Because when they come in, they're not going to do all that work. Otherwise, you have to pay a lot of extra for it. They might scratch something with their tools, and yeah, it's a dog and pony show.
Okay, well, good. Well, it looks like you're making some progress.
Almost at the home stretch, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's only on phase 1.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Is it a phase 4, phase 3 approach? What is this?
It's probably like an 8-phase project. Yeah, it's a whole house reno. So painting's going to start before the flooring can be done. And then before some of the flooring can be done, we have to soundproof some areas, get that part ready, remove all the old crown molding, and yeah, it's a
Al, I just realized we're matching. That's a really cool blazer you're wearing. It's actually a little cooler than mine.
You shop at the men's section?
No, but sometimes I wear your clothes, and I love that. So
I definitely didn't go to the women's section.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I have some t-shirts and some things and some hoodies that I'm sure probably belong to men or junior boys.
Yeah,
I fit into their stuff, and if I like it, I don't go with what's trending or what's not. If it's something I like and it looks cute on me, I just buy it.
I do that with jerseys. You know, when people want to buy jerseys to go to a game, I'm like, man, I don't want to drop $120 for this. So I'm going to wear it twice. So I go to the boys section, and so it was like $45. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, I like the fact that we can squeeze into the junior
little boys clothes. I know, right?
I know.
We can fit into little
That's
boys
a win
clothes.
right there.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a win. All right, let's get into today's content.
Let's do it.
Super exciting content that we're going to be talking about. It's not sure to our listeners and our viewers if you know about this or if you've had a chance to see this, but it's the first time in the history of Sports Illustrated that they have the oldest cover model in the history of this publication being in business. Martha Stewart at age 81 has graced the cover of Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition.
Wow. You go, girl.
Wow.
Yeah. And I love people that challenge the status quo. And when I see women trailblazing and doing things that are out of the comfort zone and out of the so-called ageism, sexism era, and that they're pushing the envelope, the tribe's going to talk about it.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk about it today. Have you both seen the cover?
Yeah, let's start with Al. You've seen it. What are your thoughts on the image?
I did see it, and it was actually well done. It was classy. Like I was expecting, I was like, 80-year-old woman wearing a bikini. What's this going to look like? But they actually did it in a really classy light. So it was good. Like big ups for her. She's an OG.
She is, and correction, she's not 80. 81.
Wow. 81 with a record too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. She did her time and didn't snitch. So, the respect level went up.
Yeah.
Ange, what are your thoughts on the cover shoot?
Now, first of all, when I heard about it, I didn't even see the shoot. I just got excited because I know that anything that Martha's probably going to be connected to, I knew right away is going to be classy. I knew she's not going to be in a two-piece. She might have like one of those sarongs or wrap or something around her. But I just got excited even before I saw the cover. And then I went and saw the cover. I was like, she looks smoking hot.
Yeah.
She doesn't
For
look.
81, Wow.
Okay, she doesn't. First of all, I had no clue she's 81. I know she's been around for a long time. I was still thinking 70 or maybe 75. Okay, 81, and to look like that, to look amazing, to have such a great outlook on life, even when you see her on her shows and just when she's engaging with people, just classy. And Sports Illustrated, way to go.
I 100% agree. When you brought this to my attention, I was like, it's about time. It's about goddamn time that we recognize that beauty is not age defined. It's at any age beautiful. She did that cover so gracefully. She looks amazing. For me, less is more. I don't need to see everything. I like to leave, like Al said, little things to the imagination. Yeah. So I thought she just looked incredible. And I honestly think that even if you're maybe 30 or 40 and you're on the front cover, on the cover of Sports Illustrated, we could have learned a thing or two from Martha because she really did dress just perfect. I thought the image was well put together. And yeah, like you said, it made me feel really proud and excited to see that we're showcasing beauty at any age now. We're starting to get into that era of the times in the world that we're recognizing beauty at 81. And like Al said, Al will probably talk about more of her status of being a G, because I just remember her smoking pot with Snoop Dogg, and I was like, this lady is so cool. Like she just does everything that not the average normal woman would do. So Al, actually, before I go into my next question, why don't you tell us about your thought process on Martha? What happened with the whole thing?
Yeah, so I guess before her, she had her cooking shows and whatnot, and I guess she got caught up in which I guess everybody does. If you had insider information knowing a stock is going to tank and you're you have a lot of their shares and you could potentially lose millions. Yes, you are a millionaire, but at the end of the day, it's just business sense, right? Someone's giving you this tip. Are you going to sit there and say, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and let my stocks tank tomorrow and take the loss? No, you're going to say, let's unload it and just see what happens. So she obviously unloaded all her stocks and the stocks tanked and she got caught for insider trading, which was obviously clearly apparent. But she actually got some jail time. So it wasn't like they treated her like a white collar crime where they're going to give her a fine and just say, you could be on your way. They wanted to make an example of her because she's Martha Stewart and so many people look up to her and given her age. So I think she got about 5 months in prison. I think maybe it's a 1-year term, but she actually did 5 months.
So she actually went into prison.
She went into prison, yeah. Had to wear the orange jumpsuit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And apparently she ran that prison too. Because obviously when you got money, right, people are going to want to help you out. So, but when she went in there, everyone was expecting her to be basically ratting and snitching out all her people that were part of that and that helped her unload the shares. She didn't say one word, kept her mouth shut, did her time, came back out on a higher level than when she went in, because everyone was like, we got rappers out here that are claiming that they're so gangster and they get caught up in something. The first thing they do is go snitch on all their buddies and trying to get lesser time. And she took whatever time they gave her, went in, didn't say nothing, came back out, and I started rolling with Snoop Dogg because Snoop Dogg was like, I gave my stamp of approval on her.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why she's an OG now. And she's got that respect that no one can take away from her, because anyone going to prison, doesn't matter if you're rich or famous, it's like, that you don't know what it's going to be like in there. People might treat you or might try to, beat you up or do whatever they want to you, because like how much are the guards going to protect you, right? You're in prison.
Right.
But yeah, she handled it like a champ. And there's like footage of her rolling around the yard, just like doing her thing and stuff. So yeah, that's why after that I was like, she's a gangster.
Sure
so
is,
that's where your level of respect went up for
Yeah.
her. Okay.
Her brand recognition just went up in value after she came out.
Really?
She just, redid her as a brand refresh, whatever her team, the team of PR people that she had. And I work in PR, so I kind of know in communications, but the refresher, the rebranding, whatever they came out, I loved her even more before she went into jail. I was like, I love her. Like, she's just so personable. She screwed up. She made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, we would probably want to do the same thing in her situation, right?
Yeah.
But it was just she took it like a champ. She came out, she's like, okay, well, I got to just keep on working. And she didn't let that define her and bring her down.
And I think people related to her more is because that they show, like, everyone thought she's perfect, right? Up to that point, her shows and everything she does is perfect. And then you find her, she does that, and you're like, people connect her with her because like she did make a mistake. She owned it, did her time, came back, and like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, sulk in my sorrows? No, I'm going to move on. Because it wasn't like she did something terrible. She got in a tip saying, your stocks are going to, you're losing all your money tomorrow. What do you want to do today? Take the chance, right? You might pay a fine. She never probably thought she was going to go to jail for it, but it's all right. What are you going to do?
I think I always liked her presence on screen. She was very calm.
Yeah,
she spoke
very
in this
meditative.
really, soft-spoken. She spoke in this thing where it resonated. Like, you could listen to her and watch her. There was just no level of arrogance with her. She didn't seem like we all have an ego, but it looks like she can keep her ego in check. Yeah. She was very humble. I think I watched a couple of things that she did with Snoop Dogg. And just to watch the two of them having a banter was funny to think, a rapper from Compton and Martha Stewart. But guess what? The two had a really cool
they were gelling
together. Yeah.
But it shows how she's open-minded, that she doesn't have like set in her ways. She just kind of goes with the flow.
So question then is, why do you think Sports Illustrated did this campaign with Martha? What do you think was going on in their mind when they thought to do this? Because you really got to think outside of the box to do something like this.
Well, I'll go. First of all, whoever the person or the PR person, because when you work in magazine and that kind of stuff, you're planning out months and months in advance, right? The content and that aspect. So somebody there obviously wanted to push the envelope. Number two, it always boils down to ratings when it comes to selling more magazines. And number three, Martha Stewart would not have been probably chosen for the Swimsuit Edition. It created a lot of buzz and I think excitement. And number one, they definitely were challenging the status quo because she is the oldest cover model. And you wouldn't think that. So I think it created that buzz. Like, what does she look like? What is it going to look like? Is that hype before the edition came out? And kudos to that individual that works at Sports Illustrated, because it's about goddamn time that they stop writing off women because of age.
Yes.
Women look fabulous at all ages. And I think for some of the women in our family as well that are older, that have wisdom, like every wrinkle tells a story. Every crinkle tells you, you know what, I survived this. And that is the beauty of life.
Yes.
And to write someone off because they're hitting 50, they're hitting 60, 70, I disagree. But at 81 years old, Martha freaking Stewart owned that cover. And to the photographer and to everybody on that team, love it.
Yeah.
I would like a male's perspective. What do you think? Why do you think they did it?
I'm just curious to know what the process was of how they decided to go with Martha Stewart, or they said, who are we going to put on next on the cover? Like, they say, okay, we want to go with an older female. Like, how did they get to Martha? Like, did they say, okay, who do we have that's 75 and up? Yeah. And then from there, they said, okay, who do we have that is not in line for a hip replacement right now? Who's in line that can still walk and not need a walker? Like, they must have broken it down with that 75. How many people can you say, okay, well, no, that one's in a wheelchair right now. She's not ready. This one, like, Martha looks like she's functioning very well at her age. Like, it's like seeing Harrison Ford, like how he's functioning after I saw him in his show. I'm like, wow, this guy's like doing great.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, love Al's perspective.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping it real.
I love that. Yeah. To add to Al's thing, I was just thinking that too, like, I mean, I think I'm pretty creative, but I don't know if I'm that far out of the box. So you really, like you said, have to be an envelope pusher. You really got to be somebody who's challenging the status. And they really did challenge this, and in a really amazingly great way. Like, again, I don't have enough opinions or thoughts about it, but I think to be a part of that would have been real. That's going to go down in history.
Yeah.
Like that's huge.
Yeah. And I'm curious to know, I mean, I haven't read it, but I want to know why Martha Stewart decided to do it. Obviously, she had her own motive to why she decided to do it. Maybe she wants to show that beauty has no boundaries, right? Beauty is not about age. It's about how you look and feel at the end of the day.
All about how you look and feel.
Yeah.
So I guess my question then that took me is, do you feel that there's a shift starting in society, how we view age? Do you think it's that we're starting there, we're there, or are we still far away from that?
If there isn't, it's going to start changing now.
Okay.
If there isn't, because I still think that whole forever young, that whole concept of forever young, we all want to be young, feel young, and be that way. But as we age, our stories and the wisdom that we attain, it's valuable.
So valuable.
Right? And we can help the next generation with what we've gone through. So to be stuck to look a certain way forever, that shouldn't be our motto in life. So for them to, like be thinking this way, or societies to start changing the way ageism is, I think we're getting there. I think the dialogue is starting to, there's conversations happening now. And if we continue doing these kinds of things, then it's going to be a more inclusive world, not an exclusive world.
Mm-hmm.
Great answer, Ange.
I think what's happening is that because, let's say, some of the older baby boomers that were in the position of marketing and all those areas that are calling shots and being directors, they're not keeping up with the times. So with the decisions they're making, the younger generations coming in and saying, like, this is not resonating anymore. Like, you need to understand, like, social media is making things different. Your people are seeing things differently. You're getting information instantaneously. We need to start maybe changing in the way we're catering to people, because clearly they're defining driver as sales, right? Like, how do we increase sales, or how do we maintain sales? If you're a magazine company, who really is watching magazines this day and age? If you're getting the magazine, it's either got the naked women on the cover, or it's either a car magazine or something like that. But I think what they're doing is that you're getting the younger crowd in positions of power now that can make decisions as far as let's change our narrative. And all it takes is that one person to say, no, on this issue, let's try something different. And they might be putting their job on the line for that, to say, no, let's try that. And then all of a sudden, the whole world is shocked. Like, wow, yeah, okay. And you're changing people's vision and their perspective on things to be like, okay, well, they've done this. Okay, now we can maybe start now pushing the envelope a little bit more. It's like seeing like Priyanka Chopra and finally breaking into the Hollywood industry, getting her own show, and making headway compared to other Bollywood actors that haven't been able to come into Hollywood, and they've been around for like 20, 30 years. They're still huge in India, but no one knows about them in Hollywood in North America. Although they might know of them, but they haven't been in a major movie or major film. So when you have someone that comes in, and then they're basically breaking boundaries and breaking barriers for others to come in and
they're trending.
replace them.
They're trendsetters. And I think the other thing is, I don't know, like how many publications they sold, but I think at the end of the day, it shouldn't boil down to be about money and magazine, right? Martha's got a story, and I think it was compelling enough for them to put her on to her story needs to be told. And I think there's so much truth and so much power that comes in when we have dialogues. And we put money aside about, I don't care if this issue doesn't sell that many magazines, but there's an important story that we need to share in society. And I think that's what it is. I think it's just about time. Stop writing people off because of age.
And it's funny to say that because I was recently, maybe a few months ago, speaking to a woman in the company I work for. She works in a different sector, and she's in her 50s. And she said to me, she felt that this company writes women off after they hit 50. And I go, oh, are you serious? She's like, yeah, like, I don't feel like I have the same opportunities than the younger people do. And she said, I've spoken to other women in their 50s, and it made me feel really sad because she's one hell of an amazing employee. Like, her and the three people that she spoke about, women in their 50s and 60s are amazing people to hire. Because you know what? They've already done their raising children. They're ready to go all in. And these women work. I mean, 8, 9 hour, 10-hour days. These people will put it in. So I always think about, like, if I had a business, I would be hiring 50-year-old, 60-year-old women. Like, they're the best employees, honestly. And they're not, people think, oh, they're probably ego. They're humble to say, show me how to do this. They're willing to take direction. They're willing to be like, I don't know social media, but I'm willing to learn it. I think that age whole thing has to change because it's about the person. And if you have the will, there's a way. If you have the drive, like Martha has the drive at 81 to keep going, I don't think your age really is just a society's way of putting you down or holding you back. But if you have that inside spirit that just keeps wanting to go, You know, I don't think age is going to stop you from doing anything.
And honestly, for someone that works very closely with HR, I would rather take a 50 and 60-year-old work ethic than any of these millennials and Gen Z.
Yeah.
They don't even show up to work. They don't even show up for interviews. We make it so easy now to be on like a Teams or a Zoom call to hit like the button and to show up. And I hear stories of they didn't even tell me that they're not going to be in the Zoom's interview. And I'm like, what do you mean? Back in my time, we'd scope out the area, you know, like try to get there early, be there for the interview, sweating, you know, and, you know, prepping for days. Like we have it so easy for this next generation with technology. And they don't even show up on screen. I'm like, how are they showing up in life?
Right.
Yeah, I find it too. I find it frustrating dealing with some of the younger generations. Like they don't want to do the work and they want to half-ass it and then expect all the results just to magically happen. And you're like, come on, man, you're getting paid to do this. This is not voluntary. This is just do the work. And it's so frustrating when you're like, I'm just going to do it myself.
I agree.
So I guess my next question is, what message do you think this sends to women? Al, what do you think from a guy's perspective? What message is Martha
I think
81?
it's empowering to say you can, if you take care of yourself and you like really try to live a happy life, like you can continue to look good and feel good at any age. It doesn't mean that when you hit 70, like everyone always says, or like we're always complaining, oh, my body starts falling apart at 40 and it's just downhill from here. It's that kind of mindset. And it shouldn't have to be that. You're changing the mindset. No, as long as you take care of yourself, eat healthy, live a good, happy life, you might keep going till like 90 before something happens, and you might actually pass away like running, like you're just running, and all of a sudden one day when you're sleeping, that's like the best way to go. Instead of going downhill where it starts with your joints, legs, and end up in a wheelchair and someone rolls you down a hill and just calls it a day. But I think what's going to change is that a lot of these male-dominated industries, all it takes is one male to come in who's got a different mindset and says, no, we need to empower them and put them in these positions. And then get himself in the position of power where he can put them in places of power. And then you get them in there. And that's how one woman comes in, opens up the door for other women to come in. Yeah. Because there are plenty of industries where it's just strictly male dominated. Right. And I find IT to be one of them. Like I am noticing now more women coming into it, but it still is more of like a men dominated thing. And the IT industry tends to be a lot more of like, people don't work like everyone works as a team, but everyone's remote from their house, work as a team. And it's literally like, this is my part of the network. This is what I do up to this point. After that, I don't give a shit what happens. That's on you guys. Like it's very compartmentalized. So it's not really inclusive. It's like, I'm exclusive. This is my part of it. I've done my part. I've opened up the ports, give you the connections, hand it off to somebody else. So it's still very divided, I think, in that sense. Like you're working as a team, but it's just a team when you're in the meeting. After that, you leave, everyone's doing their own job.
And to add to Al, do you feel like that then when women come into this, they unite? Because I feel like that's part of a lot of what I do. And the women in my team is we unite more. We bring that social aspect to the men in my team.
I would think so. Because generally when I worked with the most of the IT people, it's like, they're not very social at all. It's like they're talking to you like how some of your emails are, like where it's like, so is a connection to this point or not? Like, you shouldn't be talking into 20 people in a conversation like you're having like a direct conversation with a technician, and you need to understand we're in a social setting here. Hey, so what do you think is happening at this point? Like if I made this connection and we're having this issue, don't like make it seem like that's not my problem. Like I get a lot of that. Like, no, that's not my problem. Our side's good. And then you'll find like after 5 or 10 emails, you did find out it was their problem on their side. And that person just failed to say, I'm not going to check any further. I'm just going to call it right here and say it's not my problem. And I just feel like it lacks a lot of social constructs, and I feel like women do bring that into the
element.
And what do you think this message sends to women?
I don't want to drop the F-bomb. I would say, fuck yeah! I said it, and age has no limit. Beauty has no limit. You could be fierce at any age. That's what I think the message sends. And it's about goddamn time. I want to see more like women of age grace to cover. I want to see more diversity in the women that they select. You know, fair enough. A lot of us know Martha Stewart, but I would like to see someone from a different nationality, you know, from the Black community, from the Hispanic community. from, the Asian community, because there's so many beautiful women out there that are aging so gracefully. And I want to know their secrets. I want to know now. I'm intrigued by Martha. Like, why do you look so good? How do you look so good? What are you eating? What is your secret? Because us women, we're going to naturally gravitate towards older women and want to know what their secrets is.
Right.
What's the secret to your beauty? What's the secret to some of the things that, that you have basically withstand the tests of time? Like, how have you fought adversity? So to me, I just think we're in such a unique time to see all this change happen in what used to be, I think, a male dominated industry, because all of these things like Playboy and all this was run by men. And now it's changing. Like also the narrative's changing because different growth mindset people are coming into these types of organizations and working and saying, we got to pivot and change things up now. So I'm so excited to see what's going to happen down the road.
Yeah. To agree to you, I think this sends a positive message to women about embracing yourself at any age. Like you said, I think we look up to the next generation. For me, I've always looked at my aunts and I look up to them, and I always think about not just beauty is not on the outside, that beauty from within comes out. Like we have a couple aunts that I always find myself kind of darting towards. And it's because their energy is just so beautiful that it radiates through all of this. Like I find myself, captivated by it. Magnetic, because life has been hard for all of these women, all women, men across the board have had life has been difficult. You've had your challenges, but it's what you take from it, how you show up. And I see one of our aunts is always smiling when I see her. And I know she's got a tough life, but I always my heart just goes out to her, and I have so much more love for her. And I feel so excited when I see her. And I think I probably give her that energy even more of I love seeing you show up for life. Life is hitting you, but she still keeps showing up for life. So I think Martha, that message is, you know what? I'm 81. Like you said, I spent some time in prison. Yes, she has money. She's got fame, but she also probably has her own internal struggles, and she still showed up and did this. So it motivates the younger generation.
She is a true trailblazer.
Yes.
And I think if I didn't grow up with two sisters, I probably wouldn't have this open mindset towards women. I would still, given where I grew up in Surrey, Vancouver, where the mentality, even till it's so backwards, like the boy is the king, don't do anything, you get whatever you want, and the women have to go and work and do whatever they need to do and stay at home. And it's just a weird backwards mindset. So I think also having parents or kind of open our mind up and having sisters that give us a different perspective. Because if you start thinking one way, then you guys are there to check you to be like, no, that's not the way you should be thinking. But I think what also needs to happen moving forward is that women are being empowered, but they need to stop feeling stereotypes. Or every time you think of, women's on a cover of a magazine or something, generally 90% of the time she's half naked. So why don't you take that away? Take the power away from the guys and say, okay, I'm not going to be on the cover if I'm only half naked. Right. Like Martha Stewart, at least she was in full bikini. She was classy. She looked good. But if they made her look half naked, it would have been like, you just literally brought your classiness down.
And I bet you that was probably her. My gut tells me that was her saying no, I'm not putting on the two-piece. But I'll do the bathing suit because women wear bathing suits when we go to the beach. Absolutely. But you're right. I think what I loved is how classy she looked.
And I think even just with any other magazine, if you women in power want to be on the cover, you should be setting a precedence to say, well, I'm not going to take my clothes off. There's more behind just the clothes. Because for me, automatically, I'm a guy. I like seeing pretty half naked girls. But when I see that, that's all I see. I'm not paying attention now to your accolades or anything. I'm like, damn, those are big tits.
I think Al makes a really good point here. I'm really glad
guys are we're primal like that. That's all we see. And I'm not going to focus on anything else. It's like when girls go out and say, oh, here's you staring at me. Well, you're not wearing any clothes. What do you want me to say? I play for this team, not that team. My eyes are naturally going to go this way.
And Al, that's a great message to the next generation. And to anyone that's going to, that's going to get the opportunity to grace the cover. Less is more.
Yeah, and the guys will find it more attractive because they're like, oh, she didn't take her clothes off. It wasn't like a snap of a finger. We're not objectifying you anymore. We're like, oh, you're making us think a little bit more.
There's mystery there when you have the clothes. It's a silhouette. Exactly. What do they look like?
Because you're forcing me to actually think more about the whole picture, not just what I'm seeing on the surface level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
that's
really
great.
Thanks, Al. I learned a lot from your perspective.
I know. I like having Al.
You're welcome, world.
Our viewers, I think, were like that. I think especially a lot of male viewers. I think
for me, as I get older, I was like, it's the same old time. When you see a new girl getting popular, it's almost like what they do to a lot of the famous black people when they come down. They always try to find a scandal when they're at the height of their career to cut them back down again. And I feel like that's what they do to women, to be like, okay, all the rich are we're going to cut you down. We're going to make you only be on this cover to get to that plateau if you take half your clothes off. And if you don't, then okay, we'll get the next person in line. And the next person will come and do it because they need the fame. They need the money. But when you're in a position of power, use it to make a change.
Yeah. Right. Change the narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, that's a wrap, you guys. That was wonderful, Al. Thank you for all that feedback.
No, we should say thank you to Martha. For
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha.
Shout out
OG.
to you.
Shout out to Martha Stewart, because
OG.
this episode was inspired by her content on the cover of the Swimsuit Edition. So thank you for trailblazing for women and just challenging the status quo and for just making room for all of us at the table. I love it.
Right.
That's
Thank
it.
you for some of your delicious recipes that I never cooked, but they looked really good on the TV show.
That's awesome. Well, with that said, to our viewers and our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into A Tribe Called Dhillon podcast. Thank you for keeping up the momentum with us, for sharing, subscribing, for just connecting with us and just empowering us to continue, because we feel the love and we get really excited to keep going. So with that said, please think about your win of the week next week. Keep it on a Monday and think about it for the rest of the week. It doesn't have to be on a Wednesday. You can have your win on a Friday, but we're just going to talk about it on a Wednesday. So until next week, please stay safe, take care of yourself, subscribe to our channels, find us on all of our social channels. And until next week, please stay safe. We are signing off. Bye for now.
Bye.
Yeah.